This is League Unlock, everybody. That is Mark, and my name's Eric, here for a little bit of power ranking actioni over to the LCK in Korea, which probably the most interesting power rankings of all the major regions that we do, just because there's so much movement. I mean, there's movement in NA too, but I feel like the LCK one is more warranted, excited.
The movement's going on in NA. You don't want to be paying attention to some of those ones.
That's a traffic jam, man. You don't want to be stuck in that.
Yeah, exactly. This is what you want to be watching. This is the entertainment. This is the drama that you be needing to have in your life here, coming at you from the LCK, with a lot of these teams swap-swapping places here in our power rankings.
You got to start at the bottom where, of course, Jin Air still winless. Their friends at 100 Thieves left them. They got a win, and they're left alone here at the bottom. We'll keep saying they look better in summer than they did in spring, but until they actually get a win under their belt, they're going to be hanging out in that number 10 spot. Hanwha Life has looked surprisingly bad, underwhelming here in summer. They're 1-3. They're in at number 9. And SKT should consider themselves lucky that Hanwha's looked that bad, because they have looked pretty darn close to that bad, and obviously with so much higher expectations out of the champions from spring. What's wrong with SKT, Mark?
The real problem here is that the difference between 8, 9, and 10 is incredibly small here in the LCK. And
SKT should have got 2-0'd by Jin Air.
Absolutely, and that's the scariest part here, is when you saw them coming back from MSI and you talked about the performances that they brought. Very slow against Jin Air, and pretty much the only reason why they won that is because it was Jin Air and they were able to out-execute, outplay them in those type of ways. But then when you look at how they've been playing against teams that are stronger, playing against the likes of a Kingzone, against the likes of an Afreeca Freaks, we haven't seen the level of play that you want to be seeing against a sandbox. These have not been the performances that SKT need to be delivering, and we haven't seen any signs of them really adapting and getting faster in their play, maybe a little bit more aggression, things like that. We haven't seen come through. We've seen a couple of questionable drafts even come through from this SKT squad. So a lot of things are going wrong here right now. I think right now you got to find some level of stability here for SKT, whether that's with a pick or certain players' performance on the team. Things need to stable and level out here in order to make your climb back up these power rankings.
Effort and Haru have both been subbed in. You know Crazy's going to be next in that top lane for Khan.
He probably. I actually was asking for Crazy at a couple points here this past week, so that says a lot about the performance of what Khan's been delivering here and what the type of demand is from a lot of SKT fans about trying to change around the fortunes of this team and how fast they want it done.
KT Rolster and Gen G both sitting at 2-2. Don't think you'd expect them to be higher than SKT on the rankings based on spring, but that's just the world we're living in right now.
Certainly is, and you've seen some type of rebirth here from the likes of Gen G and KT Rolster.
Semi-rebirth.
I'm still willing to put my claim here that they are looking a lot better than they did in spring. They are showing
100%.
those improvements here. They've shown signs that they can make some of this success last here in this spring, in this summer split, try to pick up and build upon it here. Looking better for them, but hey, still some room to grow here for these old titans of the LCK.
They look more comfortable in this meta than SKT does right now. That's for sure. On to the top 5, where Damwon finally gets back to where we expected them to be. We know they're streaky. They go 2-0 this week. They're back into the top 5. Big climb, because the teams from 6 to 8 have been somewhat underwhelming, or very underwhelming for other ones, so they're up to 5. Griffin and Kingzone go down a couple of spots, and that is just because these bounce-back performances, specifically, you talk about Gen G and KT having a rebirth this season, then what is Afreeca having? Because this is the hype. This is what we were expecting from this spring split roster. They finally got UCal in there playing a lot of time, and these guys look legit.
This is one of those teams here that we've been talking about in spring split. The reason why we were excited about Afreeca Freaks is that they were bringing some level of stability with the veteran players like Keen in your top side here, and of course, you got to be having some excitement here about having UCal coming over from KT Rolster, how young he was, the type of potential that you thought. Didn't see any type of consistency in the spring split. Of course, you're not going to be able to develop much consistency switching out the roster as often as the Afreeca Freaks found themselves doing in that spring split. finding that stability here, finding the performances that they need from these top-level players on this squad. Seeing the UCal of old really showing up here and delivering on that potential. Keen giving you those hard carry performances. This is the Afreeca Freak squad that we've been wanting to see in spring, seeing it now in summer, and man, that is a big bounce back into the top 2 of the power rankings.
And they were just so aggressive in most of their matchups this week. They basically did to Kingzone what Kingzone did to everyone else so far, which was just run it down, constant team fights. You saw some of the kill counts they were getting against.
Nasty.
It was an absolute massacre by them against them. I'm excited to see aggressive players like Keen and Aiming in particular, a guy we haven't talked about, really able to showcase how aggressive he can be. We saw glimpses of it in spring. He's really taken it to the next level here in summer. And so was Sandbox. They went through Griffin and SKT. You look at that matchup coming into summer, and you're lucky if you're getting a 1-1 draw. Even if you're winning a couple of games in those matchups, clean weekend for Sandbox. It took 3 games to take down Griffin, but overall, big wins against them and deserving of the top spot.
Oh, absolutely deserving of the top spot. This is what you talk about when you look at these type of big weeks here, where they can go one of 2 ways, of course, given the way that, yes, you can get beaten, but you can also obviously find the way to step up to the occasion and come away with the victories for yourself here. And this is what I want to be talking about. We've mentioned these type of, the emotional impact of some of these type of victories can have here. For a young squad like Sandbox here, this can be absolutely massive for them. Getting these massive victories over these 2 type of squads, these squads that are established powerhouses in the LCK, teams that have, Griffin that you're looking up to right now and the way that they've played over the past year, and SKT with the names and legends that are on there throughout the history of League of Legends here. This is a massive week for these Sandbox boys. I hope they are feeling happy and proud about the performances that they've delivered here and continue this type of good feeling on throughout the rest of the summer split.
Yeah, and I see no reason why Sandbox and Afreeca can't be battling for that top spot throughout the remainder of summer. Obviously, record-wise, they're still tied with Griffin and Kingzone, but I fully expect those top 4 to be hanging out here for many weeks to go in the power rankings, because somebody like SKT has a whole lot to figure out, and already 1-3, that's a big climb back.
It is a big climb back here, especially considering the talent that you are going to have towards this top 5 in the playoff spots, more or less, here for the LCK. Looking for that type of improvement. Need to be seeing the pace picked up here by SKT. Get aggressive, boys. Need to be finding your victories. Find that passion. Find that fire. Get yourself back to the top of the LCK.
Maybe, dare I say, Faker gets subbed out again here in
No,
2019,
thank you.
just like
No, thank you.
2018. That's all the time today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys. We will see you guys next time.